Real-Time 3D Animation Assessment 3, James Yeo, N9719920. This is the model that I ended up using for the final submission. As you can tell, it is very low poly, a very low poly model. As you can see from these parts here and the reflectors and even the backlights, I gave them an emission in the material. I use more or less the same graphs in the material event with very simple texturing. The texturing being extremely simple, with like metallic silvery substance, and then white wherever the lights where I wanted it to shine. Also in this example, I decided to use green as it was more focused and could single out where the emission, where I wanted the emission from. And I put it up to about 5, as these are the backlights, so they are more or less usually in a darker area. From what you can see with the model, they are in a always in the shadow, so they needed to be a bit brighter than the other light sources, as this one is 2.5. It has a similar layout. And I did the exact same thing with adding green to specify where it is I wanted the emission to come from. I'm not too sure why it's emitting light from everywhere. The cab part of the truck itself, I didn't give it too much of a roughness, and I didn't do too much with it. Originally the red part of the cab was very dark and was still very hard to see even in this light. Even now it's still fairly hard to see. You have to bring a light source very close to it to be able to see it properly. And originally it was extremely dark, as you can see from this little preview here, and it was even darker in that even like this you could hardly even tell where everything was. I did try to add more realistic looking rust to the cab, but it would not, it didn't really work. As I was able to draw on the cab, I will show you the example. I used This texture that I used, I was using for both metallic and roughness. This is using everything, and it does. It would not work at all. So I decided not to use it. As I thought it would. There's a bit of rust that I did in Substance Painter on the little rear view mirrors, and I tried to make the rear view mirrors, little side mirrors, reflective, a reflective surface. I'll bring a light, and as you can see, it's reflecting. To get the reflective, to make the mirrors the reflective surface, I primarily used the roughness. Instead of having the roughness structured like this, I thought it was easier to just use the already provided texture sample from the original Substance Painter to use, as the whole surface is supposed to be reflective and not just the singular surface because of the truck's metallic nature. I also used the vertex painting type to get little flying men sort of as a logo for the delivery company, sort of. I followed the provided example of what was given during the vertex painting tutorial, and I found the picture of a flying man carrying sort of suitcase for sort of a delivery service sort of feel to it. This was one of the simpler event structures that I did, as you can see from how little it actually has. Saving. Ooh, that's... what happened there? Seem to... oh, there we go. Each of the planks in the model are similarly painted, as I had to go in a side direction to paint to get all the panels looking even. Yes, I used 3 different panel types when creating this. And a lot of the textures actually, once I went from Maya's UV to Substance, I was able to do quite a few objects individually, due to each of them having a separate material. Some of them ended up looking like this for the ones that weren't divided up evenly into each. This one actually contained the wheels as well as the axes, along with, as you can see, the wooden panels.